Hello, hi, my name is Nicole Holmes. I was just doing this interview to give everybody a little input about the drug and cocaine life. I'm 40 years old. My mother will be 57 this year. And she began using cocaine from she was very young. I can remember back from the age when I was about 5 years old. And when you live in a life with a person who's using drugs, you always feel the need to protect them. And at the same time, they're protecting you. And sometimes you lose a lot dealing with drugs. The children lose a lot, the family lose a lot, grandmothers lose a lot. In my generation, grandmothers had to raise all of their grandkids. That was the only way that we would become a productive member of society. And I'm a product of that environment. I also grew up living that life. We are also called the lost generation because nobody really looks back and see the things that cocaine brought into our environment, and we just had to deal with it. So therefore, the generation of mines, the grandmothers died, and we had to raise all of our brothers and sisters and cousins and anybody who was caught up into that drug life with their mother or father doing drugs. So basically, a lot of people got hurt in this game, while a lot of people prospered. Drug dealers profit. Everybody could profit who wanted to profit, even the person who was using the cocaine. Except for the children, we didn't profit. We had to make our own way. Some of us made it, and some of us didn't. Growing up in houses where drug dealers are in your house, they're in your house like they're your family. And I lived the same life. And watching everybody just profit off of this thing that was so terrible that was going to break down everything in our path. And not having strong resources around you, as such as the schools. I used to go to school every day, run and take my bus. I can remember times when the bus driver just left. He left early. He didn't care about those kids who was trying to make it to go to school and be a productive member in society. So you have a lot of people when it comes to this kind of life who's really not supportive because they look at, oh, this person is on cocaine and that person's on this and that. But what about the people that is affected? So many grandmothers die young. They die early, having to deal with these kids who was brought up on cocaine. But nobody thinks about that. Nobody think about, I'll give an example, my mom. My mom was the life of the party. The party didn't start until she got there. And drugs brought her down. She was the most beautiful person in the world. And drugs brought her down. Because cocaine is something that people fall in love with. I asked my mother before, I said, Mom, why do you do drugs? How long does cocaine last? She said 3 or 4 minutes. And you'll never get that high back again. So for all these years, she had just been trying to get that high back and was unable to get it back because you never get it back. It's like you chasing something that you'll never catch. And the way that she started drugs, it was cocaine. It was powder. And that's what people did at social. As much as they smoke weed or drink, they sniff cocaine and things like that. Now when the game changed is when they rocked up the cocaine and they turned it into rock. And that's when people got strung out and they started selling everything, their body, their children, losing their homes, their children going to foster care. all kind of things like that, because it became a fast drug and you smoked it in 30 seconds to a minute and all of that was over. So imagine you running after that cost $10 each time. Imagine all of that money that was used and was taken out of homes and things like that just to satisfy a person. So it's a very serious thing when it comes to these kind of drugs, because they affect the nation and they affect generations. And because those kind of things have happened, like I said, I'm the lost generation. I'm a part of that. I'm a part of all of those kids who their parents was on drugs and nobody looked after us. The system didn't look after you. They'll come inside of your house and take your children and go give them to somebody else to raise, who they have no idea who raising them. I lost a sister who was taken out of the hospital because my mother was on drugs when she had her. And the police tried to arrest her and they put an order of protection out on my whole family, so we wouldn't have no contact into this. My sister now is 24 years old. Her name is London. I haven't seen her face yet because the system took her, but they never left any doors open to say, hey, when your sister gets to be this age or that age, this is the way that you could contact her. I don't know what's going on with her life. She's a product of it too. And she caught the raw, worst end of it because she was removed away from her family. Now, cocaine didn't take away from my mother being a beautiful person. Everything what you see in me, my mother put inside of me. But my sister is now lost in the system and can't be found. So I watch the system take your children and they don't help you get them back. Right now, if I was asked the same worker, the same department that took my sister, how my sister's life is going, I bet you they couldn't tell me. Because my same taxpayer dollars paid for her too. Because the system didn't have to take care of me. Because I also had learned a lot in this game, which is the game of cocaine. I learned a lot. I learned what to do and I learned what not to do. And I learned how to be humble and I learned how to respect people. Because my mother is the kind of person who people, they look at everybody, they call them crackheads, they look at them and they look down on them. They didn't know that they came from good, positive families and was more intelligent than any of them boys out there selling drugs. It was easy to sell drugs. It's very easy to do that. But the person who's using the drugs and taking away from their family, that's where the hard part come in. See, they dealt with the hard part, and each day got harder and harder every day that a person uses drugs. And I also want to clear up a myth that sometimes people think. It could be a myth or it could be the truth, depending on what's your story. But a lot of people don't start using drugs because bad things happen to them. It's just that they never dealt with whatever happened to them. You see, those things will play in your life whether you do drugs or not. They will play in your life. You have to clear up certain things in your life in order for this drug not to take control over you and make you feel guilty for everything in your life. Also, moving right along, I loved every minute that I spent with my mom, whether she was on drugs or not, because my mother was very caring, loving, teaching. She did more for me and put enough love in my heart for me to love anybody. She taught me how to do things, and I used to watch other people who they had their parents, and their parents wasn't on drugs, but they wasn't as close as me and my mom. And right now, a few of them always say, you know, Nikki, you had a very good mom. Like, we really loved her because my mom was able to sit down and talk to you and explain to you certain things and how certain things go and put a smile on your face and the life of the party. That was her. I am a product of her. But drug use has violated so many things on so many levels. It allowed children to be molested because they were put in certain places. It allowed children to be raped. It allowed some children wind up getting on drugs and doing the same thing. Because for some reason that was a part of what made them comfortable too. Because what could you do when your whole life is surrounded by it? But not everybody took that road. And I'm the kind of person that I never took that road because I had to watch out for my mother. I had to take care of my family. I had to make sure that my grandmother was okay with raising my brother, and who has grew up to be a beautiful part of society and to help in every way that he can. But I watched those kind of things happen, and doing drugs, I tell you, is just a reality of what it is. So many different things went wrong. So many things went right. So many people that maybe people would tell me when I was young, Nikki, you shouldn't be around them people. Them people are bad people. They was bad people, but they was the best people in my life. They never hurt me. If my mother had used all the food money and she went to go use it on drugs, those was the people that fed me. Those are the men that showed me respect. And when you grow from learning respect from the people who you're around. Yes, it was those drug dealers. Those drug dealers was my friend. The same one that's selling the poison to everybody. But they was respectful to me, and they was respectful to my mother, and they protected her, and they protected me. So sometimes life is funny. Sometimes life is funny, but all of that have a lot to do with everything. You have to understand this game and this culture on which us, the lost generation, lived from about 1988 to the early 2000s. So much of children lost. So many people died. Right now, my mother is not here with us today. She passed away of cervical cancer 15 years ago. 15 years ago, she passed away at the age of 40. And she had so much life ahead of her. But the life that she had and don't have now, she put it in me and she put it in my brothers. And I know my sister also have it. But it's a serious thing, the way that those kind of drugs can affect you and affect your life and everything that surrounds you. You learn to not to trust people, and you learn to trust people. Because you realize that people aren't your enemy. But what can you do when your back is against the wall? And you know that your mother loved this drug. Some people say that people love the drug more than their kids. I know my mother didn't love the drugs more than her kids. But we had to pay heavy prices because she loved those drugs. She loved those drugs. And she was chasing a high that she could never get back no more. She was chasing a high that she couldn't get back no more, but she always just chased it. And when it all started out, it was all fun. It was all recreational. Until it changed. And when it changed, it turned pretty women into zombies. It turned men who looked good, who worked every day, into nothing. They looking in garbage cans and they begging people. People who you used to respect. I watched generations of people use cocaine. So it's a deep subject, and it's always to be continued. It just depends on the chapter that you want to talk about. Those days in the 90s, everything ran so fast. Everything ran so fast. My mother, she was one of the biggest boosters in Rochester. She stole everything that wasn't nailed down. And she made sure that we didn't go without. And she put herself on the line to make sure that those things didn't happen. But all of it was in vain. Had she just not been at that house that day where this guy introduced her to cocaine and told her, oh no, it was good, it's all good. It's nothing. It's just, something what people do. And from that day, it changed her whole life. It changed her whole life entirely. He changed our whole life. He changed her future children whole life. So when you think about this type of stuff, know that it runs deeper than just that person buying cocaine from somebody. Sometimes they have children. Sometimes they have their parents. They have people that it's going to be a domino effect. I've been around for the enabling. One, to make sure that I gave my mother the money, or my aunts or uncles. I'll give them money for cocaine before I see them out there selling themselves or begging and this, that, and the third. So my whole life I've been an enabler, really, and I have no choice. I had no choice because I depended on my mother. My mother took care of me before I knew myself. And so now it'll always be my turn to take care of her. And I will take care of her children to the day that I die. Because cocaine couldn't break that bond. It broke every other chain, but it couldn't break that bond. So out of bad things, a lot of good things happen too. A lot of good things happen. A lot of people who their children got taken away, maybe those children, they would definitely be in a better home. But maybe they went to great people. The only thing they wanted was a child. And I think about those things too. But I don't think the system should take people's children and not give them no type of information on their family, or give their family no type of information on them. I think it's wrong for the government to just decide that people don't want to be associated with their family, or the adopted child don't want to be reunited with his family. What type of craziness is that? I don't think that they will handle their children like that, or their family. But it's just the way it goes. It's what happens with the lost generation. And I am a part of the lost generation. Because nobody know where we at right now. Nobody know where we at. So we out here just trying to make it. And may the strong survive. Because a lot of people didn't survive. I'm blessed that I survived. My name is Nicole Holmes, and I'm very happy for my journey. I'm very happy for my journey, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I thank God for the 40 years that my mother was on this earth. I thank her for the time that she raised me and taught me. I love her and I love who she was. And I would never let cocaine come in between that. It tried to come in between it, but it's not strong enough. See, because this lost generation is very strong. We came out of the weak and now we're strong. And I hope everybody learns something from this and kind of get an understanding on where people come from when they're drug addicts and the people that surround them. And know that those people were great people, people that came from high places and wanted to do great things in their life. And an obstacle came in their life and it knocked them down. But the obstacle also said, hey, you could depend on me. If you depend on me, you'll be all right. And that's cocaine, because cocaine just lied to you and lied to you and make you become what it is. So everybody out here who's a part of this lost generation, I want you to keep your head up, because it's very hard, because people don't understand, and they won't understand that these wounds are always fresh. But you lick your wounds and you keep going and you do what you gotta do, and you let no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And when things get out of your control, if you believe in God, you hold to Him. Because God had made me reach to where I am right now. Because cocaine took my mother away, you can say. Because if I had all the time with her, with all the time that she used cocaine, we would have had more time on this earth together. So instead now she's passed away, and I think about her every day. But it's okay. It's okay. And I'm just thankful to give this interview, just to give you all a little clipping on what it's all about.